I'll call the meeting to order. This, we don't have the date on it, April 5th. And I won't call the roll, but everybody is here except Julie. Julie had an excused absence. She had a meeting she couldn't reschedule. So approval of the agenda. Now that's new. We haven't done that before. I looked at Robert's Rules of Order on how to handle that, and I got several different interpretations on how to do that. I guess the way we can do it is I will move to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Also move.
Are there any amendments or items to be added to the agenda or changes?
Nope.
No.
I got one. I would like to, oh, you got a rule, you gotta use it.
And I have one.
You have one too? I would like to switch board goals to new business and have the annual report as item C under old business. Because the annual report is something we've been talking about quite a bit. And so, if that's okay with everybody. Are there any objections to that? All right. Then all in favor, are there any other additions or changes?
We
Oh,
need to
yeah.
add the report from the Boulder County Latino Coalition to reports.
G is what? Boulder County
Boulder
OCO
Latino Coalition.
Latino Coalition.
Anything else? Did you say you had something?
No.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if there's no further agenda, all those are removed and seconded. Are there any other further discussion? If not, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of last month's minutes. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second for
I'll second
approval?
that.
Is there a second for approval?
She did.
The second.
Oh, you seconded? Okay. All right, any discussion on that? All those in favor of approving the minutes, and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Public invited to be here. Heard, is there anybody? Do we have anybody coming today? Okay. Having none, we'll move to old business. The Library Recreation and Culture Tax Initiative. Now, I noticed you did include a statement on the survey, and I don't know if you want to talk about that or what.
Yeah, first, Marcia, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Not really. I think maybe it needs to be pointed out that based on the results of the survey, there is a working consensus among the council that we will send maybe 2 or 3 of these initiatives to the ballot, not a whole mess of them, and not combining them on one ballot, on one issue, because pretty much all of them, people won't vote for 2 because the property tax increase is too high. So, we're gonna figure out some more stuff, listen to the public, possibly do a second survey, and then refer between 1 and 3 items to the ballot.
And those 3 would be separate as opposed to
Separate.
together.
Yes,
Separate issues.
yeah, because if we put it on, if you vote up or down on a group of 3, it will fail. That's clear.
Everybody has their priorities.
Well, and nobody can afford all 3.
Yes.
Or very few people can afford all 3.
Makes sense.
So we did include the survey results and the PowerPoint that was presented by the group that conducted the survey.
Magellan.
Thank you, Magellan. And the three highest gaining were the branch library, the rec center, and performing arts. So council has not made a decision, as Marcia just indicated. I don't want to spend a lot of your time on the survey as far as reading it, but I would be able to answer any questions if you had a chance to review it, or if you haven't had a chance and you want to just give me a call or send me an email, I can get back to you with that information as well. It's the staff had a meeting yesterday, and it is the goal to get this back on the council agenda on April 25th. One of the things that was mentioned at the council meeting was that there was a concern that council was not hearing from groups other than performing arts. And so there is a group that is organizing to support a new rec center if council would choose that to be moving forward. And just wanted to know if anyone on the board had an interest of participating in working to get support out for the rec center. One of the things that legal has said to us is that you as a board can discuss it, but if you are going to really be in a place where you are supportive, you would need to do that outside of the role as board members. Many of you will be treated during board meetings just like the staff, where it really is more about information and answering questions, but not being vote yes or vote no. So if you could think about any involvement you would be interested in, if you could let me know, and I would connect you with Scott Conlon. Scott is on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board and has voiced an interest of leading a group that would be supportive of a new rec center.
One thing, well, two things. I noticed that the people who actually came and spoke up at the meeting were in favor, it was about the Performing Arts Centre.
Yep.
And no, I think there was one other person who didn't about the rec centre, but that was definitely high on public interest.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that so many of the survey respondents were senior citizens as opposed to regular people.
Well, we're regular people, aren't we?
Art?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear exactly what you said, but
The fact that that meeting discussing, the council meeting discussing this, most of the public participants were talking about the cultural centre as opposed to rec centre or anything else. Plus, the survey was overly people who
Seniors.
seniors.
yeah, that's what, and that was going to be my question: is how do they select the people that are going to be interviewed or ask for their opinion, etc.? I mean, is there diversity on there? I mean, do they look at the different populations? Do they look at the ages of the individuals, etc.?
I believe they do. I think it's really an effort by that committee. So just a couple of things. When you review the one that said text only, that is the statistically valid survey, which Magellan conducted and reached out to a vast representation of our community. Age, race, where they lived in the community, so that they really tried to account for those folks that would really represent those who will go to the ballot. So I believe Magellan does a very good job. They historically, for many, many years, have done the customer satisfaction survey as well to get feedback. So the city has a long history in working with them.
Great, okay.
The one thing I would respond to is part of the reason I believe that members of your board, members of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board have not gone to council is that part of the reason why a new rec center is being considered is by a resolution that the Parks and Rec Advisory Board made last year. And then this board actually made a resolution supporting the Parks and Rec Advisory Board's interest in getting a new recreation facility. I, as a city staff, don't think it's appropriate for me to go out and beat the drums to get people to come and talk in front of council. But I would say that any one of you as individuals would be welcomed by council to be able to do that if you were interested. And I think you could either do that in two ways, going as an individual, or if you all wanted to make a motion to have somebody go and represent the advisory board, that also would be appropriate. But that again is really your option, really can't be driven by staff. I do believe that the group that is going to support a rec center will have the individuals going to demonstrate to council that there is an interest of people supporting that particular project. And I'll back up just a little bit. One of the main things that the consultant from Magellan said was that if you don't get a 60% result in the survey, that you really have to have strong community organization to support that project, or it really doesn't have an opportunity. Because even though 60% may have said that they would support the project, when you get your ballot, you often have second thoughts and may choose not to do that. So that effort will need to be very organized and strong to help get that passed.
Janine?
I'm wondering, Jeff, if there is any plans to do any kind of community outreach to explain or to educate the community about what an additional rec center would look like. And I know for a lot of people it's going to depend on the where.
Yeah.
And for seniors or older adults, they're going to want to know that the rec center that would be new would also include, activities for older adults. And I think that would be reassuring to the community if there was some way to get that education out or those specifics out to them.
Yes, and right now, Recreation has kicked off a feasibility study that will have public involvement to actually design the recreation facility. It is my hope that group can come to your meeting next month to get your specific input as stakeholders. So that's the recreation piece, because we feel like we need to be able to show the community what would actually be in there. I think the decision has been made that if a rec center is to be built, it would be built at the Dry Creek Park location, which is down by Silver Creek High School, Grand Meadows, and Clover Basin Road. If you ever down that way, there's big tall hill of dirt that was there, that is the location of where that facility would be built. But I believe that once council makes the determination of whether it's one or three projects, that what we will do as a staff is really conduct public meetings to educate people on what will be included, talk about locations, try to take input on things that the public may want to see that we haven't considered. And then my belief, and this is just me talking right now, is I would like to see us do this education process and not do a survey right away. And once we've done the educational piece, that then we would do a survey again in June or July with that information going back to council as their final public information that helps them decide whether it really should go on to the ballot in August for the November.
Marcia?
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut
Oh,
Jeff off.
Oh, I think you did.
Yeah.
Okay. The August is the absolute last time that the council can vote to refer. So if we wait that long, I know that the senior staff wants to get it done in July so that they can start the process of, I think, which is the answer to Janine's original question. When things are on the ballot, the staff goes and explains to various points what's on the ballot in as neutral a way as they can. And that's been a requirement. All of this other stuff is research, essentially. So you're saying the 25th, you're hoping to have it on the council agenda to discuss?
Yes,
Of May, was that?
of April,
Of April.
25th of April.
Yeah.
I filled out a survey about these issues recently. I think maybe from the newsletter
Well,
that was in our utility bill.
there's only one survey. There were lots of ways to find it.
Yeah,
Okay, recently, right?
yes, yeah.
What are the results? Do we have the results of that?
Yes.
The results were what was included in your packet.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think, is that it?
That Ronnie made one copy of the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Anybody-
We have that in our
Yes.
documents? Okay,
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. I missed that. I'm sorry, you mentioned it. What did it say? Summarize it for us.
So
Favorable.
the three top selected were Branch Library, a new rec
Number
center.
one?
Yep. 60% was, and I may not have the percentages
That's okay.
exactly. 60% Branch Library. I think it was 56% for a new rec center and 55 for performing arts.
So it was real close.
Yeah, and it was interesting because later on, there was a question that said, if you could only do one item, the rec center was the top one in that one, like
Interesting.
30%. So we need to figure out what exactly that means. But I think as far as the library, I think the library in Longmont is very well loved. When we do customer satisfaction surveys, the council does those, the library always ranks up there right behind, fire and police. And so there is a lot of support, I believe.
And it's utilized by the bulk of the population.
Yeah.
Young and old.
And so and the other thing that did well was Union Reservoir in the parks project. Some of the other ones didn't do as well. But based on that information, I believe staff will make some options available for council to review, and hopefully we will get some of that direction on the 25th so we can start identifying what the next steps are.
Those responses all hovered right around or below 60% though.
Yeah,
a little bit below what
Yeah.
your consultant recommended.
yes.
I was gonna ask, on the, make sure I understand this, if I was gonna get involved in some of these groups you're talking about,
Mhm.
that would be as a leader of a group or as a participant of a group? I'm not quite sure.
As a participant,
Okay.
I think that the group is formalizing, Scott Conlon again is on the Park and Rec Advisory Board and has indicated that he's willing to lead that group and has started to organize. One of the things that we discussed as staff is really trying to see what kind of support we got from the advisory boards, because I think that sends a message to council on how willing you all are and to try to help get initiatives passed.
I'd be interested. I don't know much about recreation, but is there anybody else that would be interested in like being the representative from this board?
Well, you're actually not going to be a representative
Yeah,
from the
but
board,
no,
you're
it's-
just a
Okay,
person.
That's right,
Yes.
just as a
You're
private
just a
citizen.
person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the city is not leading or organizing these groups, they
Yeah.
are independent groups.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to find the group, you
Okay.
know, so you can
Yeah.
find Scott Conlon, or you can
Yeah.
find, Mariah Sullivan, who is the chair of.
Okay, well, what are you gonna do with my name then? You're gonna give it
I
to-
will share it with Scott, and then Scott will take it from there.
Okay.
You will not hear back from me on
Okay,
that.
anybody else?
I'm not sure yet. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, you were talking about the rec centre proposal.
Right.
What about the other ones? I mean, it seems that you are,
Well,
Not
I am
biased.
sure, yes, I am, and that's why I can't advocate.
I mean, if
You know,
want
the
to do-
library, we are having the same conversation with them on the 17th to see if they have any interest. It is probably a conversation that we should have with the senior friends. Marcia, I think, indicated the name of the person for performing arts. Is that what you just said?
Yes, and it's relatively easy to find the Longmont Arts and Entertainment Alliance. They are a corporation, I mean, a grassroots organization that incorporated so that it can raise money. And they are also running the capital campaign, because there is there's a difference between that proposal and the others. It's just there is it won't go, it will go on the ballot that the city would agree to enter into this discussion, or it won't if the council doesn't choose to put it that way. But while the others are entirely tax supported, the Center for Arts and Entertainment is almost 50% funded by private donations. So compared to the rec center, the city gets a facility of comparable size for about half price. If it gets it at all.
So
Yeah, there is a possibility council could decide not to move forward on
Any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if, whatever the council moves forward, there is a strong chance that none of them will pass.
Again, the 60% thing.
Yeah. Because nobody's feeling very rich right now, right, because of recent high inflation. And
And
because,
investment losses.
and property taxes are unpredictable right now anyway.
and we haven't got a property tax bill.
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
Well, our 2022 one we have. You better look because.
Better look.
Yeah,
it's due pretty soon, I think.
yeah, well,
Yes.
if you pay
It's
it all,
past due.
yeah,
If you do it half.
if you've paid your first half, it's past due. And if you make the full payment, I think it's sometime this month. I don't remember when, because I paid mine already, but.
Right.
Okay.
The one thing I would just say is, part of the reason why I'm speaking so much about recreation is that I have been contacted by a group. I have not heard that from the library yet. We as staff will be talking to their board and also with the Friends of the Library as well.
Um,
Anything else?
oh, I guess I really should have recognized them, sorry.
Okay, nothing further on library recreation and culture tax? All right. Okay, surveys
Excuse me.
proposal. If you remember last time, we talked about what we're going to do about those questions, those 3 questions that we ranked out of, what was it, 10, something like that? And the way we left it, we kind of spun our wheels, to tell the truth. And so staff decided that they offered, I should say, they offered to put together kind of a plan or a proposal as to how we might roll this thing out. So I'm looking at you, Ronnie.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, as Dave mentioned, from our last meeting, Jeff and I had a chance to kind of take a look at some options to initiate and implement this survey that we identified the 3 questions. So, the proposal we have is focusing on this month specifically here in April, taking those top 3 and that top 3 questions that we collectively identified, but adding a 4th one that is just asking, is there anything additional they'd like to share? So just keeping it open-ended. Outside of those 3 questions, is there anything outside of that they would like to share about the customer service experiences here with us? Okay. From there, if we agree this month, a 2-week span, probably mid-month, so just to see where we go from here from this conversation. But being able to implement this survey for 2 weeks here in our front lobby, I would be able to then start looking at developing some sort of almost like a sign-up schedule, identifying our busiest times in the lobby, working with our board, and collectively seeing what volunteers we have available that would be willing to spend time to catch people as they're walking into our facility or even leaving to fill out that survey. We said we wanted to keep it out of the assigned classes because they have their own surveys at the end of the classes. So we don't want them to we want to differentiate the 2, right? So it's not specific to their experience customer service within that class. It's senior center specific. Okay. So depending on where we go with this, I'd be able to look at generating some sort of sign-up schedule for our board and our volunteers to take, whether we could do 30-minute time blocks or 60-minute time blocks during those busy times. So
you bring that schedule back proposal next time?
if this is the direction we head, yes.
Okay.
Well, no, because we want to shoot for mid-April, so well, hopefully we can identify it now and I can get working on it. So I guess no. No,
So based on your direction today, we would be prepared to get a schedule going and have that going in the next week or so, with it lasting 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, what's the feeling of the board?
I'd like to go ahead with that. I think it's important. And, I'll spend whatever time I have available to do that.
So do we make a motion to approve the
Yeah,
recommendation?
we can. Is there, we can make a motion to approve the staff going forward with the proposal, and is that sufficient? for-
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to move forward with the proposal.
I make a motion
Okay.
to move forward with the proposal for,
Okay, is there a second? Sheila? All right, second. Any further discussion?
Would you go, I guess let's look at those, and it's probably put it in here, but what were they again, the top 3?
Top 3 questions. So that should be in the approved minutes, I believe.
I know, I heard that.
And if not, I can dig them up.
I think we did that in the minutes.
From the month before. Okay. It was the month before. I could dig them up here and once we get going, and I can come back to if that's okay. So with that, what I'll do is again, start working on some sort of sign-up schedule. Well, first of all, identify our busy times within that 2-week time frame. It could be a Monday and Thursday, it could be Wednesday and Friday, whatever it be. I'll identify those busy times. Communicate through email, okay with everybody, so we can identify who can sign up where. I'll connect with Shar and Amanda, kind of see what volunteers would be available, so they can connect with them to see if there's any availability or for those time blocks for them to come in and help support this.
All right,
Okay?
all right, all right with everybody?
So is the email going to the volunteers and to us?
So the email will be communicated just to our group right here, to the group. Char and Amanda, whatever time blocks they're able to fill will be visible on that communication in that email that will go out to everybody. So I don't know if it'll be a live document or if I'll just copy and paste where we're at and just have people email me with availability and I'll just kind of update as we go. If that makes sense.
All right, we haven't voted on that yet, have we? All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Anything further on that? All right. Okay, we'll move down to the annual report and the cover letter that went along with it. Hopefully you've all had a chance. I sent the revised revision of the original revised revision out yesterday. And a couple of you gave me some very useful comments, which I think I incorporated into the letter. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the revised letter. I don't want to revise it too much anymore, but yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't either, Dave.
I have those 3 questions, if that's okay to go back to
Okay.
real quick. First one that everybody voted on was, were you provided information on where to access our classes and resources? Are your needs being met here at the senior center? And does our staff help answer your questions and provide you the information you are seeking?
Right.
Give me that last one again.
Does our staff help answer your questions and provide you the information you are seeking?
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, was that too fast? I know you're writing them down there.
Those are the 3 we approved at
Right.
last meeting.
Could you just say them once more?
Yep,
please?
sorry, I didn't know you were writing them.
I'm
I
trying.
apologize, I was going pretty quick. So, let me go back to them. So the first one was, were you provided information on where to access our classes and resources?
Okay,
The second one was, are your needs being met here at the senior center?
okay,
And the third one, does our staff help answer your questions and provide you the information you are seeking?
okay, thank you.
It's on that list of 10,
Well, someone,
and I can send it to you.
And the fourth one, if we're writing notes, the fourth one that we will be adding is there anything else you would like to share?
thank you.
All right, so going to the annual report discussion. I guess what I want is some reaction to the report as written and the cover letter. What do you think? Actually, that letter obviously outlines my point of view. And as I think, hopefully it reflects most of you, I think. So anyway, I'd like some feedback. I would see this, if everybody's okay with it today, maybe with some revision, we could just forward it like tomorrow.
You mean as a cover letter?
Yeah, as the whole works as a package.
I think you covered
I did a
everything
good job.
in this letter. So it's a good synopsis.
So what do you
What's
need?
the date on here? You got May 31st, I don't know why.
I put the 31st on there on the revision to keep it separate from all the others. So the last one is dated the 31st. And I just made that date up, by the way. Put something down.
You could have put today's date.
Well,
Might be a little more useful.
well, if you're okay with it going forward, we'll just put
The day that it goes out.
the day goes out this week sometime maybe.
Do you want a motion to that? Do we-
Yeah, just a second. Marcia?
Procedural clarification, when the board is finished tweaking the report and the letter, would you then go through the standard process of getting it on the council agenda through the city clerk's application?
Right, and it's my understanding it'll be just an information item, or are you all wanting to have a place on the?
I see it as just an informational item at this time. It's a,
What's more effective?
it's a informational item to let people know what we're thinking. To
What's
be
more
followed
effective?
by
A council presentation.
That's what I thought.
I was just gonna ask.
She says a
that.
council presentation is more effective.
Right. Couldn't it be presented?
Well, okay, let's
Council.
talk about that. You were thinking it was going to be a council presentation now?
Well, not now, when it comes
When it
around
comes
on the
on the
agenda.
agenda.
The procedure is a board approves the staff's annual report, which is what's going on right now. Then the next step in the procedure is that the staff liaison, who it's Ronnie now, goes, there's an application that goes and puts it in the queue for the city clerk to put it on council agenda. You can request a date, I think, but otherwise you just, take potluck in terms of when it comes around. And then you say how much time you want to present. It should be short presentations are more effective than long presentations, so 10 minutes, 15 minutes, those are good. Shorter than that, it goes by so fast it doesn't make an impression, but longer than that, everybody's saying, why do they have so much to say? So,
And it still doesn't make an impression.
yeah, so there's an optimum between 10 and 15 minutes.
Do we need a motion for
Well-
presenting it to the board? I mean, to the council?
Yeah, I think we should.
I have one question before you get to that.
Yeah.
Now, when that presentation made to the council, someone from the board, which is usually the president, also attends and has input on that too?
Yeah, usually, in the past, it's been weird because Michelle hated to present before council. But, sorry, but that's the way it
So
was.
she would invite staff, and I think the entire board, I think she invited the entire staff and
Right.
board to attend, and a handful of people would,
Mhm.
but it always was pretty brief and.
Yeah,
But they still, if I recall right, the president usually made
some remarks.
some comments,
Well, we
but
talked
very
about-
briefly.
We talked about this at our little meeting the other day with Jeff and Ronnie, that maybe I could make an introductory statement, introduce the subject, I don't know, whatever. And then the meat of it would be done probably by Ronnie, and then I'd wrap it up with a summary and beg for funds.
And each council member would have a copy of the cover letter and the annual report?
Yeah, it
Well-
goes into the council packet.
Okay.
Okay, well, with something like this, that's different. What I was thinking, but this is different than what I was thinking. But what I was thinking, this would go forward now. And we would follow that up the end of May, because that's when you said everything had to be done, with a presentation that was maybe a little more comprehensive, still short, but maybe still hitting some key points, maybe a little bit more than that was in the report. Maybe proposing some things for the future rather than describing what's going on right now. However, you're saying that maybe it would be better just to have have the report done and a resolution or whatever at that time with a PowerPoint that may or may not match up the letter exactly.
Yeah, the letter would go into the packet. I have not read the report because that would sort of be like voting twice. So I'm trying to stay at arm's length with this. So if there's not anything there, a nice way to end is with a couple of modest funding requests so that there's something to vote on in the budget process for the senior center. So if that's not there,
Okay.
probably, yeah, it probably based on what the board does, Ronnie and Jeff could come up with that, knowing better what's appropriate. the board does not have to vote on it, but can. So I'm speaking, with no knowledge right now, so of what's really there. But that's the way it goes, you give your report, you make an ask if you've got one,
Yeah.
and who doesn't have one,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Brandy's going, oh yeah,
We have a list.
Okay, well,
yeah.
okay, we could send this forward then. We'll get on the council agenda. And I was,
Sorry,
Yeah, go
Dave, I would do it all at once, I wouldn't do two separate things.
and I'm
you-
coming around to
Okay,
that, yeah.
okay.
I've had it stuck in my mind we're gonna have to do two,
Yeah.
but, okay, I've been converted.
Nobody else does previews of coming attractions.
Okay.
You know.
All right. So, all right, personally, I would prefer a little closer to the middle of May or the end of May. Give me a little more time to prepare. And I guess all we really need to do then is take the main points in the letter, which are pretty simple. We've got population growing like crazy and we need more resources because, all the people that we've got around here, that's one point. The other point is that Hispanics are underrepresented and other minority or special groups are underrepresented. And we need additional resources, whether it's staff, facility, or programs. I mean, those are the things that we need. And we need them now. And that's the ask.
Well, there's no now, it's 2024.
It's-
Okay, all right, okay.
Well, we do need
No, I
them now.
understand.
Yes, but we understand fully.
Yeah. And then Ronnie and I and Brandy can put numbers to those items so that council's aware, not just of something that's out there, but we need X for new staff and Y for.
See, but I'd like some real flashy, I'm a big believer in graphics, it grabs people. So I'd love to see a big graphic. Okay, here's the population of Longmont. And we got X number of seniors by our best estimate, 23,000, I think it was. Okay. Make a graphic there, and we serve 422.
And how many of those are what nationality?
Yeah,
Whatever.
that too. And some of these groups, these demographics we're talking about, will have to make an estimate because we don't have real precise figures. But we can say something generally and still be fairly accurate. We know that there's an underrepresentation of Hispanics. The only question is how much. Those kinds of statements we can make. So if we have on the main points of the letter, and maybe a couple of others that we might think of, that would be the PowerPoint presentation that we would make to the council, an introduction by me, a summary by me, and the delivery by yourself. That's kind of what I see.
For that data, and you said bring it back to you to kind of close.
I was thinking maybe we'd bring that back at our next meeting.
Jeff, when does the budget cycle start? I mean,
It should kick off any time and it will end generally, and I don't know the exact date, but usually it's by the end of May the system shuts down.
Oh,
Or in
Yeah.
the CIP
Maybe-
process.
maybe
right?
don't want to miss the window.
Maybe sooner than that. Okay, well, maybe not next meeting. If everybody's comfortable with what we're talking about, we just go ahead with it. You can trust Ronnie and I to stay true to what we've been talking about. We'll just go ahead and do it. Get on the agenda.
I just need clarification on timing, Marcia. The board makes the decision about the next year's budget.
The council.
I mean, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. When do they do that?
Well, so
And then I have another question.
It's a process. So the council doesn't really make the decision. The council approves, and yes, the council can tear up the pea patch and say, we don't want you to spend any money on this and you gotta do this instead, but that hardly ever happens.
I just
Or if
need to
it
know
does-
when that occurs.
Yeah, so
What
what
month?
happens is that the staff makes the sausage in May and some of June.
What does that mean, makes the sausage?
We put in a
Goes through a big
request.
old,
That's when the
essentially a
request
big,
is May?
yeah.
So our timing would be good if we did it in
early
Early
May.
May.
Early,
Okay.
yeah.
Early
That's what I
May,
was checking.
yeah,
Needs to be
But then-
before the next
right.
board meeting.
The other thing.
If we can get on the
Yes, it
agenda.
does.
That's
Yes.
catch too, because at a minimum, we're 2 weeks out. That's how the general system works, so we will work right away this afternoon, won't you, Ronnie? About trying to get on the agenda.
Right, yeah, the other thing
Okay.
I would like to say is don't anybody be confused about the fact that the council makes the decision in
Right.
September, October.
Right.
Because most of the work is done by then.
Yeah, I understand.
May.
Yeah, so the asks get made in May, and then the financial people
Work it out.
work it out and prioritize, and that is also a process that is pretty much mechanical. At least we hope it is. So,
Generally, by the end of August, the city manager has to present a budget to council. That's based on charter, I believe.
yes,
And then in September, there are usually budget hearings and budget meetings where staff is asked to come and explain certain things. But May is when we have really the most say. We have one other opportunity as staff that we go to budget meetings with the city manager and finance staff, and that's our opportunity to advocate. Once that meeting's over, it goes wherever it goes, and they work their magic to be able to meet that last Tuesday in August date. And really, there might be minor changes, but I think like Marcia said, once it hits them, it's pretty set unless there is some big initiative or big item that needs to be addressed that council has an interest in or has occurred since the budget closed down to staff.
yeah. I mean, sometimes there are emergency things that happen that influence the budgeting, and you know, like right now, we are having some issues with crime. And that's gonna skew the priorities that are assigned over the summer. And that's, I think, also a role of resolutions is policy resolutions that come forward during the prioritization process could have an influence on that.
Can I say one
Yes.
thing? I'm listening to all of this over the last 5-10 minutes, and I'm not saying my eyes glazed over, but for those of us who are not steeped in the activities of local government, whether it's senior centre, council, it's all very confusing.
Yeah.
And your explanations helped. I would love to see something either on the city website or an hour-long talk from somebody to explain all those processes and procedures.
To the public too.
No, that's a good idea, at some point. That's a very good idea.
I mean, we're involved, but it's sort of a surprise to us. Well, does that happen in May? Is it the end of May or the beginning of May? And what's this, was it last Tuesday in August?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to belittle it. but
Oh,
it's-
no.
it
You
is
said you were glazed over. I was looking at Ronnie, and I'm worried about him coming back to work tomorrow.
I do have to say, it took me 2 years of being on council before I understood the process completely, so, yeah, it's,
Yeah, I get confused too. I worked for Salt Lake County for 25 years, and we had a board of county commissioners, but it was a different process. I mean, in general, it's the same, but those commissioners would fight about the budget right up to the last day of the adoption. So it was very different, all kinds of political kinds of moves in between, during that process. So I can understand the
Unlike our
confusion.
council.
You know,
Yes.
we never fight.
we could see if there's someone who works for the city who could come do a class here about how city budgets work.
You mean for the go?
Yeah.
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 Boy, that would really educate our senior population.
Right. We'd probably, we're starting to plan our fall go, so by the time fall happens, it's kind of a done deal. So maybe next spring, we could sort of have on our radar to have a class like that so that as the budget cycle is starting, people have some education.
I don't think we're gonna forget that. I think that's a
You know
good idea.
the supervisors training that they do for city employees that Jim and Teresa do? That might be one that could at least be converted to be able to do for them.
To do as a public.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And that would be, that could be done before.
I don't know if we can, before next year's budget process starts, absolutely.
Maybe like next March.
Yeah,
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 I can talk to Amanda and Shar about having that just be a general education class.
That'd be cool.
yeah.
and what I will do is I'll do just kind of an outline of the budget process and send that to all of you, and then at the May meeting, if you have any questions, I can respond as best I can to those.
Okay.
Something showing the timeline.
Yeah,
essentially.
Sheila, that was a very good suggestion. Very good. All right, I have a couple of questions, or I should say comments. Questions on the letter itself. How many FTEs do you have?
12.
Is it 14?
Well, we have more part-time staff.
Altogether, what do you have?
So, total staff?
Yeah, total staff.
Currently, we got T, Melissa, Amanda, Shar, me, Brandy, Amy, Kaylee, Robin, David. Are we including, throw Martine in
might
there?
not be included, he's in a different budget area.
Okay, so we're at 10. Got Martine. We just hired, we're hiring another front desk. We are hiring, or we just hired therapeutic recreation, so it's 12.
So,
Can I ask what,
Do you have
Custodial?
We
So-
don't count them in
Oh,
our
sorry,
budget.
they're a different department.
what does FTE stand for?
full-time equivalent. So, are you saying 12
So I
FTEs?
added David in there.
how many are part-time?
And T is not an FTE.
Okay. Well, so you're looking for total people, right?
No,
FTEs,
total
how many are
equivalent
part-time?
Let's go
positions.
back.
So you got 2 half-time positions would be 1 FTE.
Right. So
Well, we can settle that later. I'm catching you off guard and that gets confusing at times. But I do think we should have the exact FTEs that you're authorized.
Yeah, I'll get you real quick. So we'll go
Is
back
that
over
an authorized, is that a figure that's kept track of by your finance office?
18.25.
18.
18 point, that's what it says in.
Well,
the
then
budget.
you are understaffed.
Yeah,
Did you
I don't know
include
where
yourself?
18 even came from.
That seemed high to me.
and even.
We don't have
have
FTE.
we
Sorry,
don't
I
have a budget for
combined
18,
it.
right?
It's 10.25.
10.2.
So you're
That sounds
overstaffed.
about right.
10.25. That is
Some are
benefited
part-time.
employees. That does not include any temps or part-time non-benefited.
Okay. So do you have any of those? Employees
Yes.
without benefits?
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
have,
Those are your
we
part-timers?
have David at
Yeah.
the front desk,
Okay,
T in recreation, Becky, who covers at the front desk sometimes.
So they aren't included.
So what was the 18.25?
I went too far to my figures, yeah.
Okay.
10.25 is the number.
so,
And that is listed in the approved budget. If you ever are interested how many people work at the police department or in senior services, it's listed at the start of their budget area.
okay. Yeah, I do things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 10.5. Does that include the positions that are gonna be filled? Well, we'll
know.
nail
You guys
it.
get back to
Whatever it is, we'll nail that
Yes.
down and that's what should go in the
It
letter.
includes Monica's, because it's,
Because I can just say a
Budgeted
council
position.
member, saying
What does that
exactly what they would have.
Recreation?
Half of it.
half of it now.
Right on there. Does that include,
We will add that to Ronnie's report next month, so you have all of that information, both regular employees and part-time.
Well,
He needs it
unless this
now.
goes
Well, we
forward.
we'll get it to you, it's too hard in this setting
Yeah,
to.
I understand.
to-
Nope, I understand
we
totally.
can get that,
It should end up in the packet, right?
yes.
All right. And then, one other question, Brandy, you said that, I had the Longmont Housing Authority as contributing staff, and you said that they don't do that. But it's in the report, so one of those things has gotta change.
We sort of contribute staff to them. We supervise a position for them. There's,
Oh.
again, it's complicated. There is an FTE who works for the housing authority, is paid for by the housing authority, but we supervise and manage that position.
Okay, you're not paying.
She's a resource specialist. So she's technically a housing authority employee.
But she works for you.
She works for the housing authority.
She's
Okay.
supervised by.
But she's under your
by-
supervision.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we support her.
Okay.
The other thing that may be, mentioned in the historical portion of the report is that during the rescue of the housing authority, the senior services lent a lot of expertise, kind of just catch as catch can, because there were people who had expertise here in human services and in senior services. So we were doing everything to keep things together. And don't be confused by that, things have normalized. And so now it's all set out clearly, more or less.
More or less, yeah.
What the responsibilities are.
Yeah, during COVID, the city manager had the ability to repurpose all of us or any of us based on how our facilities were opened or impacted by COVID. Senior Services made a big impact on Longmont Housing Authority. That the timing for them couldn't have been any better with COVID, because Michelle and Brandy and many staff basically helped with the city's takeover or working together with LHA. The timing just worked well then. Because I don't know how we would have done it if Michelle and Karen Roney and some of those folks couldn't have given up some of what they were doing. They all did a great job.
Right, but this building being closed during the worst of COVID means that they had time on their hands.
Yes.
Not time on your hands.
Nope. Disagree. The front desk staff had some time on their hands.
Oh, okay.
But no, the rest of the staff were working
The
full-time.
building was closed, the services were not closed.
Yes.
I would just say, and you didn't ask my opinion on this, but with COVID, the city of Longmont was one of very few city organizations that did not lay anybody off.
Really?
And
Huh.
the city treated all employees, not just benefited, but also temporaries. That doesn't mean people didn't leave, because they may not have liked what they're doing, but the city did everything in their power to keep all of us employed.
Yeah, sure they did. Yeah.
Very grateful for that.
Yeah.
I think that should be known more widely.
It really was a Herculean effort that was done by the city, and we knew that the pandemic was coming before it was made known to the general public too, because there were all these emergency meetings going on starting in about October. It was amazing to watch. Council really only watched, but it was everything Jeff said and more. It was amazing.
All right, let's see, where was I? Sending this letter forward, should I just send it like on plain paper like this, or should I use your letterhead? Maybe you don't want to use your letterhead.
I think we could do that. I think that's okay. And we can make adjustments so it says the senior Citizens Advisory Board.
Yeah, okay. If you get on one page, I always think that's good. Yeah. And I'll have to get you guys, what about the signatures down there? I consider maybe putting the whole board on there. You want the whole board on there? Just
Well,
me, the
you
board?
can put you representing, president representing the board.
Okay, what about the other two officers?
I don't think it's necessary. I think you're representing us. That's sufficient.
Okay. All right, any changes to the report itself? Did a good job, by the way.
I did explain, and I'm sorry that I started an email exchange by doing so, that the goals and commitments that were ongoing or new for 2022, we do list 2022s in the report because this is a report about 2022.
Right.
Somebody had asked, should that be 23? No.
Yeah.
It's capturing what was happening in 2022.
I understand. Okay. I feel like I've made my major contribution here.
Did we pass a motion?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
All right, I'll ask, if there's no more talk about it, no more discussion. Let's have a motion to forward this to the city council, the letter and the report, as amended.
So, sorry. So, I thought what we were talking about was, try to get on the agenda and do a presentation. Based on the information you have here, I think that's,
That's what I meant.
yeah,
I
okay,
didn't say it very well, but that's what I meant.
okay.
Okay, let me, somebody make the proper motion then.
I made the last one, guys.
I'm still ongoing right now.
Okay. All right. So, I move I make a motion that we, request, a presentation to the city council, including this letter in support of the senior center. Anything else?
And the report.
And the report.
In May.
In May,
And that, that's good.
early May.
Yeah, you're a good motion maker. Okay. All right. A second. Okay, there's a second. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, done with that. Okay, we'll move, board goals for 2023 down to new business. So we've got an hour left, plus our reports. Should be able to do that. Okay, this might be kind of tricky writing down all the goals. Everybody was supposed to bring back a goal to this meeting.
Yeah, you're gonna have to email them to me, 'cause
Well,
I
that's,
can't.
that's okay. We'll just talk about them.
Right.
Okay, all right. Jean, was your motion, you mind starting?
Well, yes,
Okay,
because my goals might be a little bit different.
okay. Do you want somebody else to start?
No,
Okay.
So this is it.
it occurred to me that I felt a little bit bogged down and I needed to actually focus on the definition of an advisory board. Because an advisory board is not a governing board, it's not a board of directors. An advisory board, by definition, lends their skills, guidance, and knowledge to an organization. It offers advice that helps the organization to grow and achieve its goals, to provide critical thinking and analysis to increase confidence of the decision makers who may represent, in our case, the city of Longmont and the senior center. So my goal for the next year is to focus precisely on that, which is to support increased confidence to the people in these organizations, the City of Longmont and the Senior Center. And that to do that while representing the older adults / seniors in our community. And it was important for me to do that focus, to really define after 4 years why I'm here. Because I don't know that I really read what the definition of an advisory board was when I first came. And so that's my goal.
Okay.
I have one as well,
Yeah, okay.
and it overlaps somewhat with Jane and with our conversation earlier, and I'll just read it to you. And some of this I got off the city website. The function of city boards is to operate in an advisory capacity to the council. Recommendations are forwarded to the city council by the staff liaison or committee chair. And I presume committee chair means, yes, David. The specific, again from the website, the specific purpose of the Senior Citizens Advisory Board is to communicate with and advise the City Council in matters of particular concern and impact affecting the older adult community of Longmont. And this may include 1, recommending guidelines and policies regarding the best use of the senior centre, review annual budget requests concerning senior citizens programs, serving as a liaison between council and older adults in matters of public interest, and reporting annually to council concerning the operation of the senior centre. And then I went on to say, I believe that as a board, we have lost sight of some of these responsibilities and relied too much on the staff and council liaison to represent us and our views. My/our goal should be to ensure that the City Council consciously views us as a sounding board for their policies that concern primarily older Longmont residents, as well as being receptive to recommendations from the board as they are made.
God, that's, sounds like we've been sleeping together.
I was gonna say, it sounds very similar, language is a little different, but.
And you know, and I think that part of that comes from sometimes I feel like I get a little bit overwhelmed by how detailed we can get in things and lose track. You know, I want to be here as a support, really as a support system and as a good representative of the seniors in my community. And I really respect what goes on at the Senior Center, and I really respect those people that are in charge of the Senior Center. But I don't want to get too bogged down in you know, giving advice is one thing, telling them what they need to do is another. And sometimes I feel like I myself will get pulled into perhaps business or decisions that aren't mine to make. And so that's what I want to focus on.
Good.
I have felt those very same things. And so what I did was I went to staff and volunteers, since I'm new on the board and I don't have experience of this goal setting and all that. I went to staff and volunteers and I asked the question, I am asked to bring board goals to the meeting, and I wondered if you have anything, so,
Sorry, when you say staff and volunteers, do you mean people? You mean,
people
right, so you went, you.
The staff and volunteers here.
here, I'm
So
sorry.
you went, I'm wondering whether it was a website.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I just asked people that I thought might have an idea, and I went to my peer volunteer counselors, because they get all kinds of information. Ruth is a past, Brandy, Ruth
Okay.
was Brandy at one time. I went to Brandy, I went to Kaylee, I went to all of my peers on the peer counseling. And this is what they came up with. And I think some of them fall in line with what you feel is our responsibility, which is just advising on what seniors see as needed. So the first one is, hang on for just a second, I got the wrong one. Okay, expand hours, increase staffing for the senior center. And I know that this is always a topic of conversation, probably, but I'm gonna read, expanding senior center evening and weekend hours to meet the needs of working seniors, which would require additional funding for staffing. I think that's a real deficit. We do not have this, we have this wonderful building, but we're not utilizing it, and that's true with many city facilities, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, I think we could go have a list. But I think that's really critical, is to meet the needs of working seniors. So that's the first one. The second one, is it okay to share more than one, David?
Go ahead.
Increase, there's a real problem in Longmont, and I don't know if this falls to, yeah, it's a concern for seniors. Increase geriatric physicians in this community. There's an extremely high need. There are not enough for serving the population. And who else but the city, working with the medical society, whoever recruits physicians, tries to get geriatric physicians into this community. I think there could be a more concerted effort in that realm. How can the city be part of that recruitment? The third one is info outreach to seniors. We all know this is a problem, right? We've talked about it before. And AAA has worked for years to make resources more accessible. One of the issues is that older adults are not tech savvy. I put that maybe a short blurb in the newsletter that goes out with the utilities might be helpful to reach just something. I mean, they have trouble with technology, but maybe they could call the senior center. They can pick up a phone. They may not be able to use this, but they can pick up a phone and make a phone call to the senior center to ask about resources that may attend to them. And another issue that I hear all the time, and I don't know if there's a solution to every problem, right, is transportation. Transportation for seniors. We have VIA, which, as most of you or all of you probably know, is a great service, but there's a lot of time involved in commuting with them sometimes, and it's really hard on senior citizens. I don't know what the answer is, but maybe there needs to be some discussion about that. Continue funding transportation as it is now and make it simpler and more available to seniors. And this one's, I don't want to diminish anyone's suggestions, but somebody thinks it would be helpful to have a senior swap meet. And their reason for putting this in is because a lot, people die and there's all this stuff, and to have some way to have it distributed to those in need, especially with seniors being priority. There's a whole paragraph that this person wrote about it, but I'm just gonna put it out there like this, and if you want any more detail, you can ask me. So that's what I've got.
Well, I said mine into David, one of the big things I talked to us also was transportation. But along with that transportation, I was hoping that we get somebody that can do more outreach also. I don't know how much we reach the people here in the senior homes. I don't know how the information is getting out to them. And, I think if you're just putting out paperwork, I don't know that that's gonna do it, but it'd be nice to meet with them as a group and get them in. And of course, the big thing is getting East Side Longmont down there where the Hispanic population is, tell the people what we offer, even though, again, we have it in writing, for whatever reasons, we're not taking advantage of it. I think one of the things that happens is, and I might be wrong on this, but you two can help me, that as far as those coming in to meet with the outreach specialist, I think when I'm here, I've seen a fair number of Hispanics that come in for that. But that's all they come for. They come in for that, and then you don't see them again for anything, participating in a lot of the activities here at the center. Not that I come that much, but from when I talk to other people, it's just not there. And so, again, the outreach and transportation has to be done in the northeast part of the city. And all over, I mean,
I was thinking of any of the trips that I've been on with the senior center, and some of the classes. I don't think I can remember seeing any Spanish speakers, Hispanic people.
They may not be able to afford it.
Oh, I think that's being judgmental.
Well, but there are a lot of people that would like to go on those trips that can't afford it.
Oh, scholarships.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
They know
I
about it.
brought that up
They
with
know about
many of the Hispanics about the resources that are available to, for scholarships. And even for the other things, the glasses, dentist, whatever the case may be. And I'm not sure they come in.
What's the best kind of outreach? Face to face?
Definitely has to be face to face. I don't even think a telephone call is gonna do it. We need to get out there and find out where, if there's some groups that are
Going to the
meeting.
homes, whatever,
Right.
wherever you can have face to face.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I mean, what was it, last year, Veronica gave a little presentation to the Latino Coalition, which came across very well. And, I wouldn't mind another presentation sometime this year if possible. And I can set that up as far as having someone from the center. I mean, I talk about some of the things that are going on in the center, but I don't even know all the things that are going on, And so I'd like to, that's one of the ways to get these people involved, because you have people from the schools, you have people from the health department, and a lot of other places that can go out and share some of this also.
Jeff left for a minute, but what came to mind when you said reaching out to the Hispanic population was how under or overutilized is the Lashley Center? You know
Well,
what
I
I'm
can
talking
say
about?
as far as the youth go.
The Lashley Center?
You're talking about.
Not the youth center, the
not the youth
Lashley Center.
Which is the
The old
Lashley?
firehouse on Lashley, right next to the youth center.
I don't know.
I don't know how
even know if it's
utilized
being
it is.
used. We used it for a meeting in December.
Wouldn't that be a
Latino
lovely
Coalition.
place as a annex? Jeff's back. I had a question about the Lashley Center, how over or underutilized it is, based on what Art was sharing about senior outreach for Latinos. And wouldn't it be lovely if we could use that building as a hub for the senior center for people in that population, and that could serve many different purposes. It could be staffed maybe occasionally by a staff member, sharing resources. It could be used for many different things to have that happen. It could be an outreach center.
Ronnie?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so that was the question I had, and something that I'm actually preparing for the Friends Board as well, who helped fund renovations there at that location. So their question is, how is it being used? So it is underused right now. We do not do a lot of programming out of there for a couple of reasons. Number one, we don't have the staff to, because someone has to be on site. We don't have the staff to be at that location and manage the programs there that as they're taking place. And we don't have a custodian at that location as well. So there's just a couple factors there, but we have not had we keep talking about how we're understaffed, right? We just don't have that opportunity to put people over there to program.
So is it designated for the senior center?
No, it's split.
2 days.
Right.
Okay.
That was the original commitment. I think it was Tuesday and Thursday for seniors. Children, youth, and family have it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the Friends put in money. The primary financing of that remodel was done through a state grant that came from marijuana money that requires that a certain percentage of that use is used by the youth of our community. And so I believe Senior Services still has 2 days that they could use that, but it really could be converted to a hub, if you will.
Or even if one day, one of your staff members,
Yep.
once a month, it was, I don't know how you get the word out, but it could be in the go. Once a month, they could be there to be available for questions, for resource, maybe one of your resource people staffing it for an hour or two.
Right, so the position we're pushing for right now is the recreation coordinator position, which would be a bilingual required position. That would be a focus of how can we use that space for Spanish programming as well,
But outreach would,
and outreach. Yes, so that would be on there.
I'm not sure.
Located in the job responsibilities as well.
I'm not sure where that building is. Is that on?
Right next to the
Lashley
school.
That school there, that outlet.
Right at Ninth, it's Ninth and Lashley.
the youth center.
And
Within
Lashley.
Lashley.
Okay.
It's on Mountain View and Lashley. Mountain View and Lashley.
and Lashley.
And it's on the east side of the street.
Yep.
And
Okay.
it's
Okay.
like orange and black, used to be the fire station
Yeah.
in our neighborhood.
Is this, I don't want to be stereotypical, but is that a Hispanic area around that area?
Yes.
Pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want, we could try to host next month's meeting there if you want, just so you can see it.
Yeah, that's a good
That's a
idea.
great idea.
Is there any way to find out from the Hispanic community what their perception of obstacles are? Because, I find myself trying to guess what they need or what keeps them from coming. Is it information, or is it something else? And is there any way for us to get input from them about, can we help? Would it be better to have something closer to their own particular neighborhoods? Where would they get their information from? What about church? Would a church be a good source of information? I'm trying to think of the community in general and what they perceive their obstacles are to getting resources or getting to classes or getting to programs that are offered through the senior center.
I think you know, I definitely think that transportation is probably one of the bigger ones. But the other thing is, I think as you mentioned, how do we educate them on what's here at the center is a big one.
Do you think it'd be a good idea to invite Carmen or one of her staff to a meeting, and they could maybe help us work through what might work best?
I think that's an excellent suggestion.
I'm sorry,
Excellent.
Carmen, I'm sorry.
Ramirez.
Yeah, she is the director of Community and Neighborhood Resources.
Oh, okay.
Probably in Longmont, the best connected to, or most connected to that community.
Oh, that'd be good.
And probably could give us some good information to help us look at what our next steps might be.
At our next meeting at that building, at that center?
Right.
I loved your suggestion of connecting to the churches, because older adults are more likely to go to church, number
Yeah,
one. And there are specific Hispanic churches in my I'm in that neighborhood, that, what a great resource, and get other people involved in it. It doesn't all have to be, get the pastors involved.
Well, that brings me to what I was gonna say about a goal. Because I've seen a real shift in what we are doing as a board. I felt last 2 years, it's sort of been input for us to share with the community, which I really enjoyed. Now I see it more as a real function of an advisory board, as you two have explained. And I think that's probably the real purpose, is to be that liaison between. But as a goal, I think sometimes we need to get out of our own space here. And I'm totally thinking of churches and pastors, priests, rabbis. I mean, congregations are getting older and older. And people who tend to go to church go to their pastor for help. Where does the pastor go? When I was in college, we researched pastors to find out where they went for personal and professional help. This would be the sort of resource they needed. Where do I take my people? And so I think churches are often empty at night, afternoons, maybe they have daycare, schools in them, but there's space that's available for us. And I don't know how long we can wait until we have space in a rec center. I mean, it's now, it's not tomorrow.
And
Only.
all of the pastors probably have some type of,
Interfaith, yeah.
interfaith, thank you. They get together with
Right.
other pastors, so
Right.
that's where it could happen.
Right. And I've not heard anything about our religious community since I've been here, so I think that's
good.
been a gap.
How
Are
important
there
do
any,
you think that is?
What's that?
The Catholic Church network, if you like,
Yeah.
how important is that?
Yeah, that church, what's the name of it? Catholic Church on,
St. Mary's.
no, it's not St. Mary's. What is it on? It's on the northeast, or more in the east area. But what's that Catholic church? Right there at Third or Fourth and
I thought it was St.
St.
Mary's.
John's?
St. John's.
St. John's.
St. John's.
Yeah, I was.
I've been
One of those saints.
I go to the library.
I'm not a Catholic, but I've been there for funerals, things like that, and that thing is packed with Hispanic people there. I
But there's
did
other
meet Father
denominations.
Roberto a couple of weeks ago at a fish fry that they have on Friday nights, and I honestly didn't get a chance to talk to him much, but that may be a thing. I tried to set up a meeting with him and get some ideas from him as to how we could reach out a little more.
I wonder if the Latino, there are others besides Catholics. There are many Hispanic churches in Northeast Longmont besides Catholic. And if they networked with each other, that would be the place to reach them.
Right.
So what
And space.
denomination are those other ones?
I don't know, but
Oh.
Christian, if you go down Lashley, you'll see several, and they say what the name of the church is. I don't know if it always says what denomination, but they aren't Catholic.
Jeff, Marcia, are there any issues as far as religion and a public agency involved here?
I am not sure. In the city grants, money to Hope and Our Center, for example, both of whom use church resources. So it may be important that it's done at one remove, but I don't think that there would be any obstacles
I
to
don't think
making an agreement with a pastor to hold an event at a church.
Oh, no, New Creation across the street here
Yes.
works all the time with senior services and recreation.
Okay.
Longmont Lights is probably one of the bigger things that we partner with. And I think what we need to do is, as we develop relationships, need to really make sure that, you know, what our goal is, what their goal is, and how we manage that. Because if things get too religious, you certainly turn off
Right.
other people. And generally what New Creations has done is they have not tried to do any real religious, you know, if we partner, we gotta be able to have their priest do whatever, or their minister. But it's really to them about getting their name out and having their people interact with local citizens to see, you know, the quality of people that they are. So
Not to convert.
no, and I mean, it would be difficult if they were, you know, trying to do that in the middle of Longmont Lights. That would be a real struggle. But I think, I agree, I think the faith-based community is a partner that, especially in the senior world, that we could work closer with.
And I know that there's a minister alliance, I think it's called, where all the pastors from the community get together. And I don't know who all participates, but I understand there's quite a few pastors that get together for that. That'd be a nice place to be able to get on the agenda and make a little presentation of the senior center and the goals, etc.
You know, just what's available.
Right.
Just letting them know that these services are very available, and I certainly have seen clients that are referred to for resources here. And their pastor sent them because their pastor knew. But I'm wondering if we could expand that a bit, especially in terms of what's available here to serve their community. We're not doing religion, we're doing services.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, it's all about public and private partnership. And do we do a lot of that in the city, Jeff?
On the private sector, in the.
Private meaning churches too.
Yeah, on the business side, we do a fair amount,
But there's so many churches in this town.
In private public, when you say that, I go to more of the sponsorship of events and that sort of thing, which churches haven't normally done that. It's been more banks and car dealers and that sort of thing.
I'm thinking more of utilization of space. What else would there be?
Is there
Other resources.
Is there a mosque in Longmont?
I thought there was.
Isn't there one
I
in
didn't
South
think so.
Longmont?
Yeah,
So-
yes.
there.
I'm not sure it's a mosque.
No,
It's
that's it, yes, I'm sorry.
I don't think we have one. There may be meetings of,
Sorry,
What-
just occurred to me.
You know, one thing we've been doing, and I guess it's appropriate, you know, we've been focusing on Hispanics, and there's other minorities in the community which we haven't talked about at all. And maybe that's something we need to address at some point. Actually, I don't really know the dimensions of the problem. I assume it's a problem as far as outreach.
Well, I was trying to look up churches that serve African Americans in our community, and there was not one that served primarily African Americans because the population is very small. And so I was looking for resources that I could go to promote, you know, board membership for people in the community. And I wasn't able to find a specific place where I could go and do a presentation.
And we have a Native American community that, it's not
Yes.
religious per se, but
Yes.
yeah, that's how.
Well, it is, it's just not recognized by
Right,
us.
spiritual.
as
You've
religious.
got something going with the Arapaho.
Organized.
Yeah, we'll be talking about,
And
Marcia,
the
you want?
seniors.
Yeah. I just had a suggestion for Janine, which is look up the Martin Luther King Day celebrations. And that church, even though it's not predominantly black, it has a concentration of people who are focused on that celebration. It will lead you back to the right church.
Okay.
Our
I can't remember
demographics
the
are
name of it.
changing, and they're changing quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The
All
biggest
right.
change is in people over 80 as well.
Of what?
People over 80. It's
Yes.
the biggest change.
244%.
Embedded in your.
I got it nailed. Okay, I'm the only one that hasn't.
Yes,
any-
but email me your comments, please, because I did not take notes on all this.
Yeah, they're pretty extensive, actually.
Just to Ruth, not to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
Remember that.
yeah, I want to
And we
talk
can
about that.
generalize.
I'll probably forget, but,
Boulder is the closest mosque.
now these look dumb. But,
Boulder.
you people were so philosophical, and
Islam
I was quite
Center.
specific on one goal. I guess it's okay, to develop a model that can be used by senior center support staff to help older adults take advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act as the community moves towards sustainability in areas such as induction stoves, heat pumps, air conditioning, insulation, hot water heaters, electric cars, electric panels, solar, all that kind of stuff. Like, what I'm thinking is it's just kind of a little, an outline, so to speak, that the resource specialist can use when this stuff gets nailed down a little bit, that they can use when appropriate to make a referral to some resource in the community. And I think this is probably absent right now, as far as services are concerned. So that was one.
We have some programs on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
The staff, the sustainability staff and the LP staff are working on doing the workforce development and getting the outlines, which would, the allies, which would give you something to get your teeth in.
Yeah.
So you're sort of ahead of the skis a little bit in that they're not ready to do that yet.
I know. I figure I got plenty of time on that one.
Yeah.
And then, this is the one that I've revised about 5 times, I'll try it again. It's very similar to what some of you have been saying. But, I'll just read it. Develop a statement describing the board's vision regarding the expansion of programs and services of the senior center within the community. The populations to be provided services and priorities to be used as recommendations to the city council. And I guess it's very similar to what you folks are saying. And I guess I cannot articulate very well what are the major thrusts of the services, what are the results we're trying to get to. specifically, what are the populations and how much of the population are we trying to reach? Those kinds of questions that would kind of guide some decision-making, it seems to me. And so that is my goal, but it's really just kind of saying the same kind of things that I think you folks are saying. But I guess it's just an old-fashioned vision statement. Would be my goal. But going back to what you said in the first place, Janine, it's, you know, we need something as a framework, you know, I think, that we can hang our hat on as far as this is what we're trying to do, this is what we communicate to the city council, these are the goals, this is how we measure them, those kinds of things. Yes.
Do you think your vision is different than the senior center vision in general, which I don't even know.
Not really, no, I think that probably the objectives are much the same, but I'm saying this is for the purpose of the board. Because I look at all the stuff that the senior center is doing, and I'm overwhelmed. You know, I can't keep track of all that stuff that you're doing. Marsha?
Just an observation, that I was very excited about what you said, David, when you accepted the chair a few meetings ago about doing more communication outside, because when I talk about this board, I always talk about how effective you are in terms of gathering information about senior services, and too much they stay here, or they're disseminated, you know, from a bulletin board on the senior, you know, at the desk or in the lobby. But so it seems to me that all of you are saying communicate with the council more and communicate to communities more. And so maybe a goal setting could be something like, let's have not just the annual presentation to council, but let's have a goal of 2 or 3 resolutions throughout the year that, you know, observe special events or, you know, draw attention to community events that are put on by the senior center, and just generally, you know, do charrettes. You get all this information about what comes in from the different agencies. Let's have a little information center. It seems like right now we've got one each. You know, you have the open house and you have the annual report to council. There could be 2, there could be 3 that are smaller, but maybe that's what you're getting at. I'm not sure, but I'm thirsty.
Well, I can certainly see, I would add that as a goal.
The senior vision is Longmont, a community in which we all age well.
What does that mean?
Stay alive? No.
Stay hungry, stay alive.
See, I'm thinking of, you know, I agree with the statement, but yeah, it's staying alive. I'd like to reduce it to more specific kinds of objectives, like, oh, I don't know, I stayed alive for 10 more years.
Have the resources needed for an aging population.
Yeah, we increased services of XYZ to the Hispanic population by 15% this last year, and we now serve blah, 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 something like that.
Well, the vision is what it says. Then you go ahead with a mission, which you just stated, and your mission is to increase services. And then you have objectives like, you know, conduct at least one event that is focused on the Hispanic community, or you know, change our activity mix to make it more multicultural, or you can do those things.
You know, I was going to, I'm sorry, were you
Just
going to say
have an
something?
idea.
Go ahead.
Just, I don't know if it was what you said, but I was just thinking, Do we have a booth at the Cinco de Mayo?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
How do we utilize it?
Usually there's a staff member and a volunteer.
What are the goals?
Plan the message.
All right, just exactly.
To be visible and
Answer questions, be available to answer questions, and identify the resources.
Maybe that's a
that we
good
offer.
place to do a survey.
Using Christian, what's the word I'm looking for? But planting that seed, letting them know what's there, and hopefully they find out and spread the word to the others.
Would it be okay?
Handouts,
Yeah.
etc.
Would it be okay, we got 12 minutes left, and
We haven't had any reports.
Hmm?
We haven't had any of these reports.
I know it. I got to digest everything that people have said. Maybe we should continue the conversation next time. You'll be summarizing all of the goals that people report to you.
I will pass them as sent to me.
Okay, all right, that'd be good. Let's digest this stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there that we talked about. A lot of it's similar, but I think we need to think about that. And then should we plan on a meeting at the, what do you call it again? Lashley Center? Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Do that over there at the next meeting? Okay,
And I'll work on setting up that reservation, so.
okay. And then I guess you and I primarily, maybe Jeff, you want to be involved, but we need to start working on our presentation. And so we'll talk about that some more, and we'll continue the conversation on goals. So is that all right with everybody? We'll leave it at that?
Yeah.
I sound like an MSNBC commentator.
Just send it.
All right,
And that's,
reports.
This is more like business school.
Yeah. Managers report.
back at work.
So yeah, for my written report, I will be mindful of time so we can try to get through everybody. I just provided some quick updates on where we are. As mentioned, we hired our resource specialist, I'm not, sorry, we just hired her. She finally started last week, Valerie Almanzar Garcia, and that's our Longmont Housing Authority resource specialist. So she's just brand new, but she's already been a great help over there for sure, and just a great point of resource for our community. So I'm excited to have her.
And Amy's very happy with it.
Yes, she is. We hired our therapeutic recreation coordinator who's gonna spend half time here with us and then half time with recreation. And her name's Ariana, and she'll start in the beginning of May.
Choose what?
Her name's Ariana, and she's coming from Rhode Island. So she's our therapeutic recreation coordinator. So she'll start the beginning of May. She's gonna be moving here from Rhode Island, so she's gotta get
What do
her.
they do? What is a therapeutic recreation coordinator?
We're working on that.
Oh, okay.
We're identify what that is specifically. But what we do envision for the recreation piece, and Jeff, if you want to piggyback off it at all, we'll be focusing on helping run our scope camps for the city.
So what camps?
Scope, so it's camps and specifically to support individuals with disabilities. And so, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Nope, you're good.
On that. And what does that look like for us? We don't know yet. So Amanda's gonna be working with her to identify what that means for our program specifically, assessing what our needs are for our senior population, and then being able to, from there, identify what programs we can offer. But this individual comes with a great sense of it, or just great experiences.
So that's a shared position,
Yes,
and it's focusing on people with disabilities of some sort.
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So, but again, a brand new position, so we get to kind of shape it how we want, and it's going to be, it's that input's going to come from recreation. It's going to come from our side here, and Ariana's input as well from her experiences. So, you know, want to share anything additional?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. Currently, we're down to our final two candidates for our office assistant position. So hopefully we have a decision made by the end of this week. Both of them are very, very solid candidates. Been a tough decision to make. but we're hoping to have that solidified by the end of this week.
Is that for Monica's position?
Yes. Yes.
And I'm assuming, I mean, I'm just going to assume that both of them are bilingual?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good.
Are they more paraprofessional than clerical?
What do you mean?
Do they have some professional duties, you know?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, so it's that front line of customer service, but again, kind of a lot of details for the behind the scenes things for us, for our operations, building operation. Does that, did I say that correctly? And our 3/4 position, we're still trying to, 3/4 recreation coordinator position, we're still working on.
Getting closer.
Getting closer. We're getting closer. One fun thing to point out is I'll be working with the Native American tribe in Wyoming to do an elder exchange, something that we're looking to have in place by the summer of 2024.
Wow.
So that'll be fun. We're looking to identify, working on all those details. I don't know all those details, what it could look like, but the whole goal is to have something up and running by the summer of 2024, where we have 5 to 8 of our elders going to Wyoming, and 5 to 8 of them coming here, spending some time with us. It'll be a 3 to 4 day kind of event.
Is
and,
this done in conjunction with Friends?
Yes, yes.
Did it come from Friends?
Well, Ray Ramirez he's that main point of contact, and he's working for both sides to connect the
I
dots and
see.
bring us together. So it's in early stages. It's just discussion right now. They're very interested. We're very interested, so we'll be able to start looking at some of those details.
I'm sorry.
One of the things that came up from a community member was when we have these sorts of exchanges, that we also have some art in our lobby. There is a lockable case apparently that this could be in. And that would certainly encourage people to be a little curious about what's going on, I think.
Yeah.
My only question, and I don't mean to put down this idea, but there are so few people involved. And how many resources are we putting into this, and how can it be expanded to serve more people instead of just the people that are in the exchange? I mean, do you know what I'm getting at? Anybody?
I think
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Are you working with the Sister Cities leadership to find the contacts?
So we already have our contact, but yes, that is part of the plan, to work with sister cities to kind of see, almost as a template. You know,
Okay.
what did that look like? What does it look
Yeah.
like for you? And what pieces can we take as we're looking to explore this as well?
So-
So it won't be a sister cities program. It's going to be between us directly.
So what the Sister Cities typically do is that at the end or the beginning of an exchange, there is a public event where, people can come and see or listen to, sometimes there's a musical performance or a dance performance, sometimes a film, and a panel discussion. So all of those things can be, in 3 or 4 days, it's hard to do a big thing, but something could be, certainly a panel discussion could be.
An option, right?
An
Yeah,
option.
as mentioned, this
Yeah.
is very much in the infant stages. We've gained the interest from both sides, and so Ray's going to be working on connecting with the tribe to kind of identify some availability to where we can connect and start having those discussions of what can this look like and what for both sides.
And, Ronnie, I think it was at the Friends meeting, you said that the interest from the tribal elders was very strong. They were
Absolutely.
very enthusiastic about it, and I think
Absolutely.
some people were a little surprised,
Right.
but that was very encouraging.
And what this does, it allows us to share and learn different cultures, different histories. And, it was really cool from the Sister Cities group that went, the tribe invited the youth group that went to view and see sacred rituals performances that nobody else has access to. And so that was just quite an experience for them to be able to experience something that they've never seen before, that it's not open to everybody, and just be able to enjoy that experience and something that they learn something, but also gain something that they'll never forget. And so that's what we want, is
Innovative.
providing those experiences and being innovative in that process, absolutely. So when I get any updates on anything planned, I'll absolutely share those out.
Okay.
I wonder if it may also attract some of our local Native American citizens to the senior center to be a part of that.
Okay.
And then I just have some quick highlights from recreation and supportive services. So
Okay, you read through those?
Yeah.
All right.
thank you.
I have a
Yes.
comment. There was a time, Sheila, I believe you made a motion that was approved that we submit in writing our reports because we never seem to have time to get through them.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's something we really want to do.
I thought I didn't like the idea at first, to be honest with you, but now I like the idea. Because we hardly ever get to, we take the time to think about it and get it down, and I read everybody's. I don't know if everybody.
But did you distribute them?
Yeah, they're in your packet, aren't they?
I don't have any.
No, I don't have anybody
Oh.
else's.
Okay.
So what that could do is, if we do get short on time like this, everyone will have had access to them in advance. And for an opportunity like this, where it's short on time allows me to say, yeah, I'm writing a report. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, could
I
you
get it
distribute, let's see, I sent you all three of the reports for last month. Could you distribute those to the board members? Apparently, it was not sent out to the board members.
For which one, I'm sorry?
The
For
three,
this?
the three board, the three committee reports.
Okay.
One from Janine, one from me, and one from Sheila.
Have you sent those?
Huh?
I don't recall seeing that one. I'll have to look, but,
Yeah, I sent you all three.
okay, because the only ones I remember seeing is the draft. for
Okay,
this
there was a
one.
little confusion there
Yeah.
because,
Well,
okay.
can they just send to
But then,
Ronnie?
but then,
Do
but that's
we
okay.
send
Okay,
Yeah,
that was the
or-
next, thing. I said to send them to me last time, which was a bad idea.
Okay.
So it was really a dumb idea.
So we
you
send
need
them
they
to
need to
Ronnie.
be sent to Ronnie 1 week before the meeting. That's what we decided the other day. So
Well,
you have time to collate and get them out.
Okay.
mine's always gonna be kind of
Well-
a month
That's okay.
behind because the AAC meets the Friday after we meet. So this is from our meeting, the beginning of last
Yeah,
month, just
I got the same
so
problem.
people know.
I got the same problem.
Yeah,
But if we have time to discuss it, I was going to ask for questions on any of the reports, well, you apparently didn't get it anyway. But next time, then I will ask for questions and we can talk about it if there are any questions. Otherwise, you just read it as part of your packet.
Just so we get them in, so it would come with the Friday before
Yes,
packet.
right, right. Okay, and one last thing. Can I talk about it now?
Sure.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Ruth is resigning. And I don't know how many of you know that, but she'll be, is it May 15th will be your last time she'll only be with us one more meeting? Are you gonna be here the next meeting? Okay, good.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to see you do that, but I respect your opinion or what you want to do. And so we'll be needing yet another board member. Is there anything new on the?
The only thing new is that all three of them.
All three said no?
All three said no, that's correct.
Is it something I did?
Oh,
The gentleman was interested on one thing. Oh, they were all interested in, I
Okay.
guess, a little bit different than what we were.
We also left applications at E4All, paper applications, and at the front desk. And I have not, I forgot his name. E4All guy,
Jonathan?
Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan Galindo. right? I was searching for a Hispanic first name and he doesn't have one. He said he's given out a few applications, but that's all he knows because of course they go back around to Dawn. So I can check with Dawn and see if there are any applications that have been received from anybody at this point.
Are there a lot of board positions that are vacant,
There
not
are
just
a lot,
ours?
not just
Yeah.
ours. And I'll send that information to Ronnie who can send it out so we will know
Okay.
whether to step up our recruiting.
Was there a blurb in the newsletter about all those vacancies?
Which newsletter?
The one that goes into our,
You go?
Utilities?
yes.
Oh,
Those were delicate
no.
paper copies to
Oh,
receive.
Yeah.
Could we send a letter or, to our senior housing facilities that they could post or, maybe even have our representative for Longmont Housing Authority to kind of outreach. That's the only place I can think of where seniors live and they live together and it's a large group. Should we explore that or look at doing that? Or, God, I'd even go do a presentation about the board to see if we could recruit from there.
That's gonna get us down to three
Mm-hmm.
positions.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
if nobody applies, I would say I don't believe that the authorization of the board is needed for any individual to attempt to recruit
Right.
Members.
And the
So go forth, right?
what's the deadline, April? The end of April?
It's
Yes,
April
it's coming.
21st, so it's
April
coming up
21st is the
fast.
last time you can
It's
apply.
come around
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yes, and by the way, I thought your video was great.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it.
Saw that too.
Yeah, and so they are running on Longmont Public Media, they're running on Channel 8 in the cracks between shows.
Does city council utilize the newspaper or the Longmont Leader to get that word out?
The city council.
I mean, whoever would do that
This,
for you.
well, the city does a limited amount of promotion. So, another thing that anybody can do is write a letter to either news source and say, hey, I have had these wonderful experiences participating on city advisory boards. We've got a lot of openings, you've got 2 more weeks. And just send it, they'll publish it.
Who would you put as a contact in that article?
Oh, you can give the city clerk's name, Don Quintana, or you can say, go to the city website, longmontcolorado.gov, and search for boards and commissions.
Okay. I'll see what happens, I guess, next month or so.
Yeah.
You might be reduced
I
to,
need to stand at the doorway and grab people coming in the door.
you might be
Does human
reduced,
resources staff only do paid positions, or could they do something like that?
They're usually just paid.
Could they be more?
I would guess not. I think Dawn, the city clerk, heads that part.
Right.
Because the challenge is it's difficult to be a city employee. And so like if I had an interest in senior services, was an employee, it really wouldn't be appropriate for me to be on the senior board. So there has to be real a separation from what you do in your day-to-day life unless you're one of the staff liaisons.
I'm warning you, you might be reduced to some of my golfing buddies.
Do it.
They're all old farts like me.
So are we
Well,
all.
that's what it takes.
Yeah,
And the men, right?
they're all men, yep.
Yeah, this is a pretty womanly board.
Pretty
I
much,
mean,
yeah.
you know, so, another man would not hurt.
Well, we'll see what we can do.
Everybody should.
Yeah, everybody try. Everybody try. All right, is there a motion for adjournment? One more item?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.